This lecture explains about .NET Framework and its architecture. .NET Framework is a software platform to build different types of applications such as desktop, Windows, and web applications. .NET Framework is a part of .NET. That means .NET has two major components. One is .NET Framework and .NET Core. We will discuss about .NET Core in the further lectures. So timing, we will discuss about .NET Framework, which is the most important component in .NET. So what is .NET Framework? As I told already, .NET Framework is a platform to build different types of applications. .NET Framework mainly consists of two major components, that is CLR and FCL. I have already explained about CLR in the previous lecture. So what is CLR? CLR stands for Common Language Runtime. It is the runtime engine to execute any .NET application and also provides the runtime services such as security management, memory management, garbage collection, thread management, loading the classes, etc. And the other component in .NET Framework is FCL, that is Framework Class Library. Framework Class Library contains the complete library available in .NET. That means all the predefined classes, structures, interfaces that are available in .NET Framework are available in FCL. In other words, based on the FCL library only, the developers write the code. For example, we have written a statement called system.console.writeLine. So in this statement, system is a predefined namespace, console is a predefined class, which are part of FCL. So like this, we have so many predefined classes, structures, and interfaces in .NET Framework. All that predefined classes, structures, interfaces are called as FCL, that is Framework Class Library. So the question is how this CLR and FCL are arranged. Either FCL depends on CLR or CLR depends on FCL. And are there any subcomponents inside FCL? All these questions are answered by the .NET Framework architecture, which is also called as .NET Stack. And it is a collection of all components and languages that are available in .NET Framework. In other words, the pixelated representation about .NET Framework is called as .NET Framework architecture. Firstly, at the top, we have .NET languages such as C#, VB.NET, VC++, etc. We have more than 30 languages available in .NET. I am not writing all those languages to avoid the confusion. However, most of the practical cases, the developers use C# as a language in .NET. The C#.NET, VB.NET, and all .NET languages are developed based on CLS, that is Common Language Specification. Common Language Specification is a set of rules or guidelines based on which all the .NET languages have been developed. We will discuss about CLS later in this lecture. So, the CLS is developed based on the predefined libraries, that is WinForms, ASP.NET, WPF, and others. That may be WCF, that may be ASP.NET MVC, etc. And all these libraries are developed based on ADO.NET, which is used for database connections. ADO.NET is developed based on base class library, and the base class library developed based on Common Language Runtime. Don't worry, we will discuss about the WinForms, ASP.NET, WPF, ADO.NET base class library in the further moments in the same lecture. We have already understood about CLR, right? And all this library, that is BCL, ADO.NET plus WinForms, ASP.NET plus WPF equal to FCL. So these are the inner components of FCL. I have already explained about CLR. we require more clarity on BCL, ADO.NET, WinForms, ASP.NET, etc. That's what we will do in the further moments. First, let us discuss about BCL. BCL stands for Base Class Library, which contains a set of predefined classes that are available in .NET Framework to perform general I/O operations, type conversions, and working with the threads, etc. So for all the general purpose programming, which are common for all types of applications and languages, there are some predefined classes, interfaces, and structures. All that predefined classes, interfaces, and structures are called as base class library. So how it is different than FCL? FCL is a superset of BCL. BCL consists of general purpose classes, interfaces, and structures which can be used in all types of .NET applications, including console, Windows, mobile, and web applications. So there are some other libraries which are specifically available only in Windows applications or web applications. So FCL is a superset of all of them. So in that way, FCL is equal to BCL plus all the libraries of Windows applications and web applications also. Some of the sample classes available in BCL are given here. For example, you might be using console class, string class, convert class, task class. All these are classes available in BCL. Now coming to ADO.NET. ADO.NET consists of the predefined classes which can be used in any types of .NET application, including console, Windows, and web applications, in order to connect to databases and also interacting with the databases, such as retrieving data from database, inserting, updating, deleting the data from database. An application generally requires the database interaction. For example, the employee management system needs to interact with the employee's database to store and retrieve the employee's information. For example, when a new employee joins to the organization, we require to add a new record to the existing table. And when the employee got promotion, we require to update his designation in the employee's database. So the real-world business applications are fully about interacting with the databases. So the database interactions are done by ADO.NET in .NET applications. Some people say ADO.NET has a full form that is ActiveX Data Objects, but actually ADO.NET don't have any abbreviation. Some of the classes available in ADO.NET are SQL connection, SQL command, etc. So WinForms is a library available in .NET which are specifically used for development of GUI components in Windows Forms applications. For example, in a Windows application, if you want to create a label, button, text box, etc., we require to create objects for the classes that are available in WinForms library. These are some of the classes available in WinForms library, that is form, label, button, text box, etc. WPF is a new one introduced in .NET 3.0, which is advanced than WinForms library. Here also we have similar classes such as window, label, button, text box, etc. And these classes are also used for development of Windows GUI applications. But these are technically, graphically advanced than WinForms applications. ASP.NET is a library or framework which is used to develop the web applications. Here also we have the predefined classes such as page, text box, button, checkbox, etc. But these are for web user interface. And ASP.NET has subcomponents such as ASP.NET Web Forms, ASP.NET Web Pages, ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Web API, etc. So as of now, we have fully understood the FCL, which includes the base class library, ADO.NET, WinForms, ASP.NET, WPF, etc. So just for recollection, base class library contains the predefined classes for general purpose programming which are common for all types of .NET applications. So they can be used in desktop, web and mobile applications. ADO.NET also is similar to BCL, so that can be used in all types of .NET applications. But ADO.NET depends on BCL, and ADO.NET provides the set of classes for a development of database connections in any type of .NET application. WinForms only for Windows Forms applications. ASP.NET only for web applications. WPF is also for Windows applications but advanced than WinForms. Likewise, we have some other libraries which may be complex to discuss at this moment. For example, we have WCF, WWF, etc. So eventually, after completion of C#, you may require to go through the other libraries as per the requirement. Now we require to discuss about the CLS, which is a Common Language Specification. So what is CLS? CLS stands for Common Language Specification. It is not a library, but it is a set of rules or concepts or some kind of guidelines common for all .NET languages such as C#, VB.NET, etc. In other words, all the .NET languages including C# and VB.NET are developed based on certain guidelines and common concepts. Those common concepts are called as CLS. CLS includes CTS and guidelines about classes, objects, reference variables, method parameters, generics, etc. For example, a class consists of fields, properties, and methods. This is common point in between C# and VB.NET. So this common point is mentioned in CLS, which must be followed in all .NET languages including C# and VB.NET. So CLS is in the form of a document which is given to C# team and VB.NET team in Microsoft, so they are using themselves internally. As a developer, you need not worry about CLS specification because you require to believe and follow the language. For example, you are learning the C# language timing. But do remember, C# language is developed based on CLS specifications. So CLS is all about guidelines but not about practical implementation. Whereas the practical implementation of all the concepts of CLS is called as a language. For example, C# language. What is CTS? CTS is a common type system. CTS contains a set of data types that are available in all .NET languages. For example, int32, int64, single, double, etc. These data types are commonly available in all .NET languages. So these are prescribed by CTS followed by all .NET languages. For example, in C# there is a data type called int, and in VB.NET there is a data type called integer. In between C# int and VB.NET integer, the underlying data type of CTS is int32. Like this, CTS provides a set of data types based on which C# and VB.NET data types are developed individually. So as you can notice, we have understood all the components of the entire .NET framework, and also we have discussed about all these predefined components in this lecture. And in the previous lecture, we have already completed the CLR and how it works and what are the functions of CLR. So overall, we have fully understood the .NET framework architecture. In the next lecture, we will understand various versions of .NET framework.